We took Mark Andrews. I'm actually surprised he hasn't spiked. If all accounts are likely, could miss up to 8 weeks from now. That's a huge turbo boost for Mark Andrews because he was still Mark Andrews as a player last year. It was just his snaps were cut down.
What is up, everybody? We are back to do another live draft for the DraftKings Best Ball $15 million contest. We are partnered with DraftKings this year. They're offering a great deal over at DraftKings, so go over there and make sure you check out all of their offerings. You actually find the link in our show notes to go check out DraftKings. Play in this $15 million contest, which Rich and I have now entered a couple times, 3 times, maybe 4 times, somewhere around there together as a team, recording them. I'll put them up on YouTube. You go find our old drafts on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, get notified when all of our videos go live. And I have to tell you, Rich, I have been happy with our last 2 teams. First team didn't go.
Jinxed this one.
First team didn't go great. I've been very happy with the last 2 teams, which means, yeah, as you said, this one, it's just going to be a bloodbath. There's just no way around it. This is not going to go well for us, I would suspect.
Have you been doing more of these behind the scenes too on your own?
I have been doing them, yeah, and it's interesting. I like doing them with you because I do find that we draft running backs earlier than I normally do. I have really leaned into, we've talked about it before, and we'll get into it more as these drafts go on, or as this draft goes on. But I've really leaned into just avoiding early running backs, and so I do enjoy.
These got to be pass catchers, man. Like when I wrote that thing, like there's almost like a new Konami code because everyone's hip to the mobile quarterbacks. But with the running back receptions being kind of a scarcity, like there's just like a certain archetype that like I will be willing to pay up for.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I think in one of the drafts we ended up picking Achan, and I like that idea for lots of reasons. Like I like the idea of chasing efficiency variance with him while also getting the usage, getting something close to the efficiency of his rookie season with the usage of last season, and then you have like a true like literally game-changing fantasy running back. And so if we're chasing that at the end of the first round, then yeah, I'm into that for sure. But yeah, aside from that, I do a lot of receiver heavy stuff, and I know you like to do hero, and I like to let you lead these because you're better at
this. Let's listen, man. Let's draft some wide receivers here then.
So you could lead it, but it is interesting to do them with you because they are a little bit different, at least for me, than what I normally do. I will tell you that we have gotten into a draft now, and unfortunately, as tends to be the case with us, we are picking.
Perfect. Well, it's perfect to do. This is my favorite spots, the back 3. I love the flexibility here. I'll tell you what. Let's do like a wide receiver build. Like initially the plan, unless something like stupid here happens and someone falls to us, but. Because I love the flexibility of the running backs that are available at 3-4 and the running backs are available at 5-6. I mean, you usually can have like your choice of like a Kyron. We'll see if he bumps up now with the contract extension now. Maybe people have some more, they feel some more stability with that contract extension now and see if he climbs a few spots. But, definitely 5-6 too. You can usually have like Travion Henderson and RJ Harvey are available in that range who fit the archetype of guys that we're looking for. I remember when you're drafting running backs in the RB2 selections, like the typical prototypical dead zone, you want guys in their rookie contracts and guys that have a pipeline to catching passes. Those are the guys who most consistently beat ADP in that kind of draft area. So like Harvey and Henderson have been kind of go-tos in that back spot too. So let's do a wide receiver start and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, unless McCaffrey or something falls. We've actually talked before about we like picking here. I don't particularly like picking here for what we're doing on this show as we try to create content around it. Because you have 2 picks back to back, it becomes difficult to do it. But if I'm just drafting by myself, yeah, these last 3-4 picks of the first round, this is where I want to be. I think this is where the value is. And we've mentioned this before. You get to AJ Brown, Brock Bowers, and that's where you identify that cutoff. And so that's kind of where I think about, where do I want to be? And so, those guys do get to the middle of the first round, but you're guaranteed, I think, if you're picking 110, 111, 112, to get 2 guys that, are ahead of that, as you call it, firewall, and you feel a lot better about. So in normal circumstances,
now with this Ladd McConkey news, I doubt Ladd's going to like slide far, but is Ladd going to be one of these guys now that finds himself outside that firewall or kind of in like that like kind of limbo, pushing back to the 2-3 turn a little bit? that's going to be interesting to see where he goes in this.
We have an interesting start here. The draft has finally started here. Interesting start. Saquon 1-1. Then we got Bijan and Gibbs there. So we got 3 running backs in the top 5. I mean, Jamar Chase, I update the ADP for DraftKings every week for the website over at Sharp Football Analysis. Go and check it out. A lot of good stuff out there. Rich is posting a really interesting series. I'm sure we'll talk about this week about stats that matter for running backs as part of our draft kit. Go and check that out. Sharp $5 off our draft kit. Make sure you do that. But I update the ADP and like
107 London.
They move all around, but Chase like 1-1 with a bullet. Like there's no variation. So it's always interesting when you see him go there. And then, like you said, Drake London going at 7, Neighbors going at 8. This is an interesting draft. We might have to move off of what we had planned to do, but we'll see what we got here. Then Christian McCaffrey. So we still have Puka, St. Brown, Collins, Genty here as well. There goes St. Brown.
Yeah, I would be cool. Nico, do you want to do Nico?
I would pick Puka here, but I think.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed. Yeah, we can do Puka. Let's do Puka. I'm sorry, I totally missed him.
Do you want? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's not play games with Puka. I do wonder with this Stafford stuff, is Puka somebody you can push and hope for the best? Because it is worrying with Stafford. Although, like everything we've heard now, is that like they do expect him to play week 1, but as our colleague Tucker said, this feels a lot like that year that everybody was just expecting him to be fine and then he wasn't, and so you were like, I don't know. We still have Genty here, Henry, Thomas. So this is either Thomas or Brown.
BTJ or AJ Brown. I'll let you choose your adventure.
I would do BTJ here. Although I will say, no, I don't want to get those. Let's do AJ Brown here. The BTJ, there are 2 things. First of all, he has a week 8 bye, just like Puka, which I know it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. Little tiebreaker stuff like that matters in my head. But the thing with Thomas Jr. is some of this Travis Hunter stuff we're hearing, and this is always a thing. We talked about this last time. Some of this Travis Hunter stuff we're hearing, you can't put too much stock into it. How much is he going to play? But like, the drumbeat of him like playing 80% of the offensive snaps, which you would assume that would mean he's going to be en route on almost all of those, with how good he's been or allegedly has been in camp. And again, these are camp practices. We have to take this all with a grain of salt. But like, I'm not off of Brian Thomas Jr. by any stretch. Brian Thomas Jr. was amazing as a rookie in a bad situation. Like everything about Brian Thomas Jr. screams, this is a very good player and you shouldn't fade him. But when you're doing these like tiebreaker stuff, that's when this gets interesting. And so that's my kind of Brian Thomas Jr. thoughts there.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars are just going to throw so many passes that both those guys can kind of coexist. And, I've always been on the pro Travis Hunter, even going back to the prospect stuff. I always just been like, why put a limitations on this player that's shown consistently like until we have proof that like he can't do it. Like, I'm just going to keep believing he can because he keeps delivering in spades on just being a unicorn.
But I do wonder if like this is the thing where we passed on a build that I think would usually have Brian Thomas Jr. Like I don't think many.
Yeah, this will probably be a little bit more. What's funny is that from ADP, it's probably a little bit more unique, but there probably are a lot of Puka AJ Brown teams because of kind of where AJ Brown goes sometimes, because he sometimes goes after Ladd. He's kind of like that last guy sometimes.
I do wonder if is this one where we want to force Travis Hunter in that kind of
maybe we could do that because we bet against him.
That was kind of my thought process here, is that taking kind of AJ Brown where we did, taking him ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. If we throw in Hunter, we're kind of making some correlated bets with the team, which is interesting. By the way, the guy who got Brian Thomas Jr., because Genty went after us, and then Thomas Jr. went to the guy who got Christian McCaffrey, and I'm sure he's that person. I assume is very, very happy with how everything has worked out for them.
Absolutely.
You mentioned McConkey. McConkey went to 8 after both the tight ends Bowers and McBride. You said with the Keenan Allen news that you didn't even move McConkey in your rankings, which is interesting, but I think I understand kind of where you're coming from. Our concerns with McConkey don't really change with Allen there that much, in my opinion.
It's not from you're not concerned about like him like having to like change positions, because he was really excellent outside as a receiver from a efficiency stance. He was at Georgia too as well. I was always a couple spots lower than him, is why I didn't move him, because I kind of was, my argument for the whole time has been like making the argument for McConkey to get like 150 plus targets versus his peers was harder and I'm including the 2 tight ends in that range too. It was just harder to kind of make that argument, and I still think that exists, but I had him 21st overall, and I couldn't find any reason to really move him down. His projection didn't change a lot. It hurt more of the other guys. But yeah, so I was already kind of a couple spots below, so I hope can get him more on more teams now if he kind of gets to that spot.
We can try with Devontae Adams here. We have Devontae Adams here if we want to try to get Stafford and just really play up. Hey, Stafford's going to be fine. Mike Evans here, George Kittle, James Cook. Any overarching thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're kind of froze out at running backs, which is cool. No problem with that. So whichever just best receiver I would take.
So I ended up taking.
The problem is now we're gonna try to talk ourselves into a Stafford stack, and
we're taking him. There's no way around it now. Like we're taking Stafford.
Where we could have had a Jalen Hurts stack.
Yeah, whatever. We can still do that too. That's still on the table as well. If we wanted to take Hurts here, it'd be a little bit earlier. But then that would definitely be a 2 quarterback build here if we want to take this.
Yeah, we could do that now. Well, I guess we could still backdoor in that because I don't think we're taking a running back here. Rashee Rice would be kind of my only other pull. It would be Rashee Rice or Jalen Hurts.
Let's just do it. Let's take it. We'll make a 2 quarterback build, and we'll try to get Matt Stafford. Well, I mean, with the back injury, do you still feel comfortable in a 20-round draft with draft?
We already bet on him now.
Yeah, let's bet it.
Unless you want Jimmy
Garoppolo. Do we take
Jimmy
G? Last round Jimmy G?
I will say, given Stafford's age and, with a back injury, someone had 2 herniated discs and doesn't play football, it's my alarm bells are at least like a above average. I would say at least a 6 right now, if not higher, just because of the age and the injury. Back injuries, like real back injuries, are nothing to kind of play with.
I had a Mexico vacation ruined by a herniated disc that I suffered like literally the day before we got on the plane. And that was, I didn't know how bad it was when I guess it was a more bulging disc. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was like hitting the nerve and like just deadening my leg, and like the pain of that was excruciating. So I can't imagine going out and trying to play football through that for sure. It certainly seems like it's a bit of a dangerous thing there for him. Getting a receiver run here, I'm glad we kind of stopped and didn't try to force a running back there. I don't really think we need to.
No, there was not. James Cook would have been the only guy to maybe push.
Yeah, and like his whole thing, I feel like we've talked about it to death, but the whole touchdown thing with him and that touchdown reliance, and how, again, that series you're doing this week about like stats that matter, that you're playing a game, you're playing a tough game. We have lots of evidence that there will be some regression for touchdowns for the Bills just in general, and probably for James Cook. That doesn't mean he'll be bad and he can make that up in other places, but it is like, am I really going to push it for this guy when the
problem was his touchdown spike also occurred with a usage dip, and that marriage is always really tough to pay the iron price for.
Yeah, it's certainly tricky for him. I do wonder if RJ Harvey gets back around here. We do continue to see these wide receivers go. Rashee Rice now down in the 5th round. I still like Rashee Rice a lot at that price.
Yeah. I still believe Rashee Rice should be drafted ahead of Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like I might try to talk you into a late round Tyquan Thornton here in a bit. So that might be where I am.
Everyone just turned off the stream.
But yeah, so the running back here, I do think this is probably where we're going to start looking at running backs a little bit with this range with Connor, with Harvey, with Swift. I do, this is one of the things where I am much, and we've talked about this before. I am Travis Hunter just went off the board.
Well, we know what that gamer is going to try to do as well.
Yeah, that's probably. Oh, they took Swift right in front of us. How dare they?
Smith.
I mean, Devontae Smith. Yeah, sorry. How dare they? I would probably take James Conner here and just try to establish.
I would take Harvey first because I'm pretty sure Conner will come back. Like I would just take Harvey, and then if we want to take Conner, we can, because I'm pretty sure like Harvey probably had a higher odds of getting picked at that turn than Conner.
Yeah, I mean maybe
he usually goes ahead of him almost every time.
All right, well there's Conner.
That's why I said if you want to play it that way.
On DraftKings, actually, Connor's a little bit ahead in ADP than Harvey, but they're they're basically the same player.
I feel good
Steven,
about that then. I feel good
yeah,
about
yeah, no,
double
I feel
tapping those guys.
Yeah, no, I feel perfectly fine with those two there. You know, I actually probably would have taken one or maybe pushed it if it's just me. But again, that's the idea. And I do think
If
that
Devontae
these
Smith would have came, I would have said like, "Hey, we're doing this again." But
yeah, we're taking Smith. Like we would have taken Smith there for sure if he'd have come back around. But you know, such is life.
and you see the
But I
Egbuka jump too. The Egbuka spike is real. Like he's basically a 6th round pick now.
yeah, I get it because everything we're hearing about Chris Godwin is bad. Every quote that comes out where they say, "Yeah, he's right on schedule," and they ask him, is he gonna be ready for week 1?" And they go, I don't know." And you're like, it's tough scenes. But I do wonder, like, what is his value if Godwin is healthy? Like, if they're just slow playing this and Godwin plays week 1, like, how many targets is he going to get? Like, are we going to have like a JSN situation or, a Roma Dunze situation again with him? It gets tricky, I think, with Ibuka. But with these two running backs, as I was saying, I don't normally, this wouldn't be a place I would probably take two in my personal drafts, but I like getting Harvey because I like the upside there, even though I'm probably lower on him than consensus. But if you're just building like an upside, this guy hits, that's fine. And then
I
Connor,
expected to be, out on Harvey after the draft. I expected him to kind of be like guy that like kept climbing, and then ever since the Dobbins signing, like he's just hung out at that 5-6 turn area, and it just fits a lot of team builds and what I look for, and like a running back 2. And like obviously he's our running back 1, but we're pairing up with 2 guys together because we're double tapping. But yeah, he just kind of checks off the boxes that I look for from a principal bet, let alone the player bet.
yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying is that like what we're looking for in this team makes sense, and then Connor makes sense for me because we're going to have to make some bets at running back late that we're hoping are like more second half bets. And so you're getting Connor here, which I don't, the Trey Benson stuff, we'll see what ultimately happens with that. We know what Connor's injury history is, even though he stayed healthy last year. But like, I like this idea of getting more of I don't want to say sure thing. There's no such thing as sure thing in fantasy football, but like you're feeling better about early season returns for Connor. And I like a guy like that when I'm waiting on running back, just as like, I don't know, as like a later round anchor. Is that a way to explain kind of the idea?
Yeah, I can get with that.
So we're coming back around here. We've had another just giant wide receiver run in these rounds, which again is why I'm happy to be taking running backs here, is because of this wide receiver run that we see. We're down to Khalil Shakir, who obviously has the injury issue, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Cooper Kupp. So like if we're gonna fire here at maybe tight end, fire at running back, that probably makes sense. At running back, we see Aaron Jones come off the board. Aaron Jones is still there. Isaiah Pacheco is still there. Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones just went. Isaiah Pacheco, oh no, he just went as well. I need to stop saying it. That would have been my guy right there, Isaiah Pacheco. Do you have Joe Mixon here? I mean, that whole thing though, like we're not chasing that. And then at tight end, we do still have Kelsey, Hawkinson, Ingram. Who's standing out to you here when we're looking at these picks?
Yeah, Mark Andrews stands out a little bit. Again, I don't want to make you push another Jalen Warren team on you, but yeah, I would probably lean Mark Andrews at one of these. Cooper Kupp as well.
Cooper Kupp.
He fits it when we need him. The old Rams battery. He with his
Cooper.
I actually had this conversation.
I'm taking him.
Yeah,
I'm
Scott
taking him. I
Barrett.
need to hear it.
Scott Barrett actually opened up some stuff about Cooper Kupp. We talked about him in the early offseason about him potentially having more of the Adam Thielen run out. Let's take our other pick here and then we'll go back. We'll circle back.
I ended up just taking Andrews.
Yeah. And, he talked about like how, he was really good the opening 2 months of the season last year. It was just kind of like, so are we is it better to be good for 2 months, 2/3 of the season and bad for a third of the season? Like, are we waiting for that? Like, are we weighing the way the season ended for Cooper Kupp too much? Because he got more guaranteed money than Stephon Diggs. He got more guaranteed money than even Devontae Adams. It's an interesting play at his price point. How dead is he? Was the argument. And it's like, I went to my projections and I was like, shit, he actually projects well too. Oh, sorry. Fraudulent. And I was like, man, has he been a blind spot for me this entire offseason? Because he does project well. It's a system we want. I've written up about the under center passing game a ton and how it's 2 wide receiver sets and the play action pass, how it's a turbo boost for efficiency for these receivers. And it's like, man, So I just kind of want to sprinkle him in to some of these drafts because he may have been a blind spot for me to this point.
Yeah, I mean, if he hits, he's definitely a blind spot for me. I have not been even really thinking about him. I just don't know. It's again, it's what we talked about all off season. And if you're just joining us now, you into August. First of all, congratulations on being a normal human that thinks about this stuff for 1 month a year. You deserve all of the credit in the world for that. But like the fit doesn't make sense. The way they want to run the offense doesn't make sense. He hasn't been getting open. Like you say, he looked good at the beginning of last year. I mean, I think he was fine. Like, but I still don't think he was. He definitely wasn't Cooper Kupp. We're another year removed. They moved on from him. They replaced him with another old receiver that they thought was better. If we're talking about guaranteed money, like I don't know. It's tough for me to get there with Cooper Kupp, but I'm fine having him. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and I've said this so many times already. But the thing is that if I'm going to end up drafting 150 teams or however many I end up drafting, then I need to have some of everybody, right? Like that, I'm going to end up with some of everybody. And so if I end up with Cooper Kupp team, I'm fine with that. I'm interested here. We see Tyrone Tracy go off. That was somebody I was going to try to talk you into as a running back at 99 with this news, with this Jordan Ronan news.
I would have not been into it at all.
I'm just the fact that like Jordan from ESPN, Jordan Renan, right? Rannon, came out and said that like that's the most sure I've ever heard a beat writer say that Tyrone Tracy is the lead back and that Cam Scadaboo's not going to be involved, which may be true for like the first few weeks, and then Tracy fumbles again, and
that's
Scadaboo
my
gets
thing.
the late season run out.
I don't want to play the week one. Being right in week one, I don't think maybe matters for Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, like that's fine. It's just it is one of those things. It is one of those things where like that was such a like certain beat writer report that like it adds more weight to it to me. Like there's something to that, I think. But yeah, I'm fine. You know what I'm interested in? Etienne is still sitting here. Do we just take the dip on the Take Bigsby news? I have been team Take Bigsby. I am team Take Bigsby.
What else are we looking at here? What else is that? Is he the best? He's the best available.
He's the best available at running back for sure. Scadaboo, Charbonnet, Spears.
I don't mind him in the full PPR. I think he's going to be kind of like the screen passing game guy, which is funny because he's not like a great receiver. But I think when you look at that way that backfield shakes up, he is going to be that guy out of the box.
Yeah, I think I'm good with him here. And I have so much Bigsby that it's fine. We do still have at running back, we've got Scadaboo, as we just talked about. Charbonnet, which is interesting, is in kind of one of these builds with whatever's going on with Kenneth Walker. And we saw what Charbonnet was able to do last year. Obviously, new offensive coaching staff, it is what it is. But he's interesting there. Spears would have been interesting. He just went. Jaden Blue, this is too early for Jaden Blue, but I doubt he gets back to us if we wanted to do to do that. Anybody, Nick Chubb, it's not happening. I might be trying to convince you in a late round Damon Pierce as well, but it's not Nick Chubb.
It's a broken record for us here, but I mean, it would be either Darnell Mooney or Christian Kirk. Like it's broken record. Like these guys are just hanging out in the spot that are just solid, just really good bets in my opinion.
Christian Kirk time. Here we are.
Especially with the Joe Mixon news, like I really believe when you look at the way the Houston Texans are structured, if they're not going to have Joe Mixon, they've got a kind of a really hodgepodge offensive line of a bunch of guys that have bounced around the league everywhere. They're not going to create holes. They don't have the backs now to really exploit whatever little creases they hit. I really believe under Nick Caley, like this is a team that's going to swerve into the pass a little bit. I think their personnel is really built to throw the football. Assuming Mixon is not on, assuming like Mixon doesn't have like this, like he's 100% full go by week one, like that changes the dynamic. But I think without Mixon, this team is really built to throw the football.
Without Mixon, like we'll see what happens with Damon Pierce, right? Like I do think that he is a viable late round pick now for sure, especially in 2020 round drafts at DraftKings. Like that is for sure true. But if let's say Pierce, he doesn't get back to his rookie form. This change in blocking ahead of him, what we expect to be a change of blocking ahead of him, doesn't get him to where we want him to be as a runner. Like Nick Chubb just wasn't it last year, and it's sad because Nick Chubb was one of the best in the world when he was at his best. But like,
he's a dude as a human. I think a lot of people just generally want to root for a guy like Nick Chubb.
Absolutely, I love Nick Chubb, and so I'm not happy to say this, but the reports out of camp are what we saw on the field last year, which makes me believe them, right? Woody Marks is not that kind of player. Like that's why I'm saying, David
we do think they're built to pass. Woody Marks on a DraftKings site does make sense.
Absolutely, he fits in on that. But he's not the kind of player that you would expect
Right.
to like really lead
Oh,
the
no.
backfield in a run heavy thing. And so, yeah, it all points to passing if something is actually wrong with Joe Mixon. And as this lingers on, the fact that Ian Rappaport called it a frustrating foot injury, like those are not two words you want to hear together when you're talking about a running back. And so, yeah, there's a lot of concerns there for sure. We're coming back around. We saw the quarterback run. It didn't happen when it normally does. We got a little bit later on the quarterback run.
Yeah, I'm
Than
surprised we took Mark Andrews. I'm actually surprised he hasn't spiked. If all accounts are likely could miss up to 8 weeks from now, which is not 8 weeks in season, but like that's a huge turbo boost for Mark Andrews because he was still Mark Andrews as a player last year. It
Yep.
was just his snaps were cut down. And we saw the one game likely missed. He was at 90% snap share. Like Mark Andrews was still as efficient as a player as ever. And now that tight end is kind of what we said was kind of a dead spot after George Kittle, like he should be more on the radar to have some really nice early season run out.
Speaking of tight ends, you got TikTok star Kyle Pitts just went at 128.
Yeah.
We're staying away from there. Darnell
There's
Mooney went
Mooney.
right in
Mooney
front of us.
almost made it all the way
Mooney's
back. I
almost
think
got
my
it back
go-to
to us.
guys. My go-to
So we have
guys.
20 seconds here. Jaden Blue made it. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh yeah, hammer Jaden Blue.
So we have Jaden Blue here, and then we're getting into, Goedert is going around this range. If we just want to keep going with get
Oh, we do.
double.
Yeah, we could do. I'm good with Goddard here because we missed the
Yeah.
other double. Yeah, let's do Goddard.
Assuming he gets back around, that would be really funny if we got sniped twice. I still like, it's funny. All right, I'm taking Goddard here. I still like the Bigsby still going 2 rounds here after Etienne, who we got well behind ADP as he continues to fall, as that situation gets strange. And I still really love that price for Bigsby. But that's kind of the thing. Again, if I was picking one team and I was drafting one team and I had to make a Jaguars running back pick, I'm taking Tank Bigsby, especially at cost.
In best
But if you're
ball.
taking in best ball, sure. But if you're taking a bunch of these teams, like, I don't know, throw in Etienne, see what happens. Like that's the whole idea that I know that I'm dumb and don't know anything.
Right.
And therefore,
well, I mean, you're also taking a shot on a player that has 2 1,400-yard seasons in the NFL. Like,
sure, there are worse things. There are worse things to take a shot on.
Football season is right around the corner, and there's no better way to lock in your fantasy dominance early than with Best Ball on DraftKings, where you draft once and ride your roster all season long. And right now, DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft one, get one. Enter a lineup in the $15 million Best Ball contest for just $20, and you'll score another Best Ball ticket to play free for a share of $15 million, giving you a second shot to win big. It's easy. Just draft your dream team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. Across the whole season, every breakout star, every clutch play, every touchdown will count towards your quest for a share of $15 million. And if you're looking for someone to plug into your best ball lineup, there's nothing better to buy than year 2 wide receivers. Looking at wideouts that have been selected outside of the top 24 based on years in the league, second-year wideouts have delivered the highest hit rates for beating their ADP and delivering wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 scoring seasons. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now to draft your $20 best ball lineup to play for a share of $15 million and get a second ticket to play free for a share of $15 million. That's 2 chances to win big without ever setting your lineup again. Draft one, get one. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Keenan Allen just in the 12th round there, which I believe is higher than he was going before we knew his spot, which does make sense. Like, aside from ruining our Keandre Lambert-Smith just absolutely peak, making me look like a genius run out. Aside from that, like, he is going to a place where they just need somebody to throw the football to. So it does make sense there for Keenan
He's got
Allen.
built-in rapport with the quarterback. He still earned targets last year. He can be a red zone threat. He was good in the red zone with the Bears. He was one of the only good pass catcher in the red zone for the Bears last year. So all those things check out, and then you have a little bit of the contingency stuff still too if something were to happen. So I think it's where he's going to settle in, like around in like the 130s to 140s.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I have no problem with him at that price. I do like, he also has the issue of that we have with McConkey in the second round, which is, as we talked about with him, why you didn't really move him down. The issue is still the issue. We don't know what the pass rate for the Chargers is actually going to be, right? And so that's a bigger concern for Allen, because I still don't think we would expect Allen to out target McConkey if both of them are healthy. I would still think
I'll be really excited though if McConkey hits that more back end of the second and you can get him on teams that maybe started with a Lamb or a Chase and like he's your wide receiver. I feel really good about him if he's in a full PPR wide receiver too. I feel really good about that.
Quentin Johnston's going in the same round. They're still in the
12th. Yeah. And Trey Harris went super earlier. I saw.
Yeah, I saw the Trey Harris, and I guess it didn't like register in my brain, which was interesting. I thought I saw him though, right? Yeah, there he went. Yeah, that one right after Kirk before Mooney. I don't know about that one. Putting a lot of faith into a team that wants to run the football under Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman. So that's interesting. We're sitting here currently as just kind of looking at our build. Got one quarterback. We're going to try to get Stafford. This is probably where we need to take Stafford.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what Team 12 had on there. How many quarterbacks does Team 12 have?
Team 12 has 2 already, so we could probably take him at 158.
That's what I just wanted to check.
Yeah. No, it's exactly what we should be looking at. But this is definitely a Stafford situation, and there are quarterbacks also like Geno and Bryce are still there. Anthony Richardson's still there, who I assume people are going to be getting excited about, which I'm fine with. Like I'm getting excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in these drafts, these 20 rounders.
Absolutely. So we could be looking again at running back here, wide receiver.
This is probably a wide receiver, right?
Yeah, we've got Thielen, McMillan. I'm kind of out on Hollywood Brown with the news that we've had recently.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer here with the Shakir injury is very interesting to me. Tillman, Leggett. Anybody stand out?
Not a whole lot. Tillman, I guess, would be the one guy that's okay. But if you want to go in a different direction, I'm not opposed to that either.
I'll take Tillman. Yeah, that's fine.
You also could have, for the content purposes, just taken Stafford and bought clock. It would have been fine. We would have figured it out.
Yeah, we'd be fine. But yeah, we'll take Stafford on this comeback around. Although it's going to be very, very funny if Stafford is drafted at the third. If Stafford is the third quarterback there.
And then this will be a 2 QB build. We're just going to bet on the Hurts holding.
If Stafford's back doesn't hold up, then it probably doesn't hold up for a Puka Devontae double.
That's exactly what I said. We already bet on the Stafford side of it. So
yeah, I'll tell you, I would have taken.
We bought a dip on both Rams receivers.
Absolutely, I've already taken. I was already taking Palmer before. But with like this Shakir news, I'm dangerously high on Josh Palmer. And it's fine. It is what it is. We're drafting here in the 13th and 14th round. It's not. I'm not gonna make a big push for anybody. But like everything is coming up pretty well for Josh Palmer here in Buffalo. It's
funny because the two guys we kind of, when free agency opened and that signed, we weren't that excited about from like a signing stance was Josh Palmer and Christian Kirk. And like, look at us now.
Yeah, and the Kirk thing, it's funny too because we were like, yeah, this could make sense. This could work. And then they end up drafting Jaden Higgins. They end up drafting Jalen Noel, right? And so, like you say, am I right about that? There's a wide receiver for Washington that almost has the exact same name.
Oh, Jalen Lane.
Yeah, there you go. And it really messes with my brain. I wish they would not do that. Also, Kyle Phillips, I think you should add another L into your name. That's just for us. But the idea here of like, they drafted 2 rookies and we're still like, this is kind of working out for Kirk is interesting, but it is all about that running game. We have Woody Marks here going in the 14th round. We've obviously seen both he and Nick Chubb go up draft boards. Nick Chubb was taken at 11-7, so at 127 overall, which again makes sense. I understand why people are doing that, but the Nick Chubb we saw last year just it wasn't it. So, and the camp reports haven't been great. So we'll see where we go from there. We're sitting here on, we have 2 quarterbacks already. We could probably stick these 2 tight ends, but I assume we want to draft another one. We've got 6 wide receivers. We've got 4 running backs.
They're pretty good, at least. They're pretty good.
Yeah, no, with Mark Andrews and with Goedert, we don't have to force another tight end, although we will just be drafting AJ Barner late, and you can just deal with that. You deal with that however you'd like to deal with it. But the running backs, it's maybe this is an Algier team, maybe that makes some sense, but there's not a ton here that I'm.
Is Eckler still there?
Eckler is still there.
Yeah, I would like Eckler.
You're going to talk me into Eckler?
All right, well, I mean, especially in this, just because he fits this mold of, because we have Jaden Blue and kind of ETN, like another guy that's just catching passes, is in an offense that
is going to regress probably, but be successful. Like we believe the Commanders aren't going to be terrible, and he's going to still have his role. So I do like that.
There he goes. Austin Eckler, one pick.
Oh, did he go run pick 4?
One pick before us. We still have Hopkins, Bryant, Austin, Yosavash, Noel here as well. I'd probably take Tyler Algier here. What are you thinking?
That's fine. That's fine to me.
And then do we want to come back with another running back? Krosky Merritt, all the way up to 197 now in our ADP.
I know he's not the cool. He's not cool pick anymore.
He's not the cool.
I hate to report. He's no longer a cool pick.
And so we have we do have Hill here. Justice Hill.
Kind of fits that same mold, right? With the roster. Braylon Allen's gone, I assume. Yeah, he is.
I believe so. Yeah.
We still have we have a little clock here. Then Pat Bryant goes. Okay. What are the receivers like? What are we?
The receivers, we've got Hollywood, who way under ADP now. Leggett, Beck, Hopkins, Austin, Yosevich, Wilson, Diami's still here.
Oh yeah, we can do. Well, Slayton. Slayton's gone.
Slayton's still there.
Oh yeah, let's do Slayton.
All right, Slayton 204. And again, that's high on ADP. This Hollywood 80. So I had talked to myself out of Hollywood Brown with kind of the injury news and kind of just that Matt Nagy quote about him needing to hit the ground running really like went, oh, this is not the kind of thing you normally hear from a coach. And so that had soured me on him, but I also didn't know that we were going to get all the way down to 154. Have I missed?
So how worried are you in general now? Because I'm going to operate in this conversation under the assumption that we get in the next coming week or two, the Rashee Rice news with, Addison got his suspension dealt out. We're assuming Rashee Rice, we're going to have before at least kickoff, we're going to have the news that he's suspended to open the year. So if Hollywood's already hurt, like, are we back to the same thing with the Chiefs? Like, is this an offense, especially when you look at their opening month of the season, like they open at the Chargers, against the Eagles, at the Giants, and against the Ravens. Is this going to be like a cause of concern for like the Chiefs offense? Like, again, like, are we back kind of square one with these guys? Like saying like, how excited are you to have Chiefs to open the year? Obviously you feel like a little bit of good about like Xavier Worthy getting value in that opening month, but as a total, like, people are still pricing in like the Chiefs can be the Chiefs to the Chiefs players. And how concerned would you be now if like they're down Rice and they're down a healthy Hollywood again?
I'm excited to play Noah Gray in week 1 DFS. I guess that would be what I would say. I don't think this is what's confusing me about Hollywood. And we're recording this on early Wednesday afternoon, and I'm a little bit there. Hollywood just went off the board at 193. I'm a little worried I missed some news because the last news I heard on his injury, and he is hurt and he had that whole thing happen last year, and it is what it is. But like I heard on his injury that it wasn't serious. So I'm actually kind of confused that he fell that far. On I assume injury news, and I know he wasn't having a great camp, and obviously the Nagy quote. There are lots of things happening here.
Yeah.
But I was surprised he fell that far. I kind of think he'll probably be there for week 1. But I think your overarching point about we went into like every Patrick Mahomes conversation we've had this offseason, we went into it assuming they're moving back into, we're going to be a 3 wide receiver team. We're going to focus targets to the wide receivers. We're going to kind of move back in that direction. We're going to hide Travis Kelce as much as we can and make sure that he's good to go for the playoff run, right? We're going to do all of that stuff. And if Rashee Rice isn't there because he's suspended, and like you said, Hollywood Brown's on 100%, and the God King Tyquan Thornton doesn't end up looking like he's looked in camp, then yeah, there are lots of questions that happen there. So I think it's a fair point. We're sitting here, we've got our 2 quarterbacks. Like I said, we could think about a tight end still here. 7 wide receivers, 5 running backs. I think we probably need at least 1 more running back.
Well, we can throw a lot of bullets because we have the option to go just two tight ends, 2 quarterbacks if we want.
Absolutely. I think, like I would probably do that and just throw.
Is this where you would do Justice Hill then? Would you just throw Justice Hill on this one?
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense at this point. Yeah. I do think like Keaton Mitchell already went at 194, and some of the conversation about Keaton Mitchell is interesting. But Keaton Mitchell, if I'm remembering correctly from a couple of years ago, like wasn't a pass catcher.
Oh no, Justice Hill is like that's just his job. Like his job is his job. There's Jalen Lane. There you go. There's
Jalen Lane. We do have Giddens here, which makes a lot of sense for this for this kind of team.
Yeah, I can do that because we've already purged a lot of the handcuffy guys. Like Shipley's gone.
I almost took Manangai. I need to learn how to say his name.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to take him though.
Yeah, I know, but I need to learn how to say his name if I'm going to continue to say that that's who we should be drafting. I am putting Tyquan Thornton in the queue just in case just in case we accidentally time out. That I'll get him. So he is going in the queue.
Also, Keandre Lambert-Smith also drafted. So we had 5 Chargers wide receivers in the top 200.
No way that goes wrong. No way 5 Chargers wide receivers. A team coordinated by Greg Roman and coached by Jim Harbaugh. No way that goes wrong. Everything will be fine. I do think we need to remember what their pass rate was early last season before J.K. Dobbins, had his, I think, first injury.
I brought it up several times.
We need to remember that, kids, colleagues. We need to remember that.
Well, especially with the way the Charger season ended too. Like, I mean, this is a team that lost in the playoffs. Their quarterback throwing 4 interceptions. They ran for under 3 yards per carry. Like, there's no way that sat well with Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, which is why they aggressively, signed Mekhi Becton. They added Najee Harris in free agency. They used a first-round pick on a running back. Like, there's no way that the way that their season ended from a structural stance is the type of football that those two guys want to play.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah. There's no need to add into that. It doesn't make sense. And again, love McConkey. No problem with Allen at cost, but I do think there's going to be some disappointment about how that offense is run. I do think we're probably looking at 2 wide receiver shots here coming up in 7 picks. Horton going there at 218. Quite a rise for Horton.
Yeah. Liked him as a prospect too.
Yeah, and I'm not even against it. I will say,
I mean, he's probably the odds that he still probably leapfrogs even MVS. And I know no one wants to hear that. Like, if something were to happen to Cup or JSN, I still would, because MVS was with Kubiak last year and performed well. So, veteran player. It's just going to be interesting to see kind of what happens with Seattle top down. But I'm probably a little more optimistic that Kubiak's going to make this stuff work. But I'm more of a truther on his style of football being something that's conducive to what succeeds in today's NFL right now.
And I also think this is not 100% true, but we do just have to remember with that team how often that team uses 2 wide receivers versus 3 wide receivers. Like, we get into our head that 3 wide receiver sets are just the base set of every offense. That's not as much true. At least it hasn't been with Kubiak. And so if you're looking for that third receiver on Seattle, it's just something to keep in mind. We're coming up here. We have Yosavash, we have Tisla. I'm actually surprised that he didn't skyrocket coming off that game. Yosavash just went. Deontay Johnson, but we already took Tillman. Tolbert, Horn, Brown, Gallup, Smith-Schuster. I'm already putting his name in. I know who we're drafting here, Jermaine Burton. But
you don't have to. That's just my go-to guy.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. So we're on the same page with Burton here. But anybody else really stick out to you at this point?
Not a whole lot. Maybe are we ceiling? Are we not? Oh yeah, Jalen Naylor did go. Okay, I was saying.
Yeah, Naylor is definitely on my list at this point. AD Mitchell's definitely on my list at this part of the draft. I'm gonna take Burton here, but I'm gonna let the clock run down a little bit. While
AD Mitchell hasn't been drafted.
No, he's been drafted. He was drafted at 213.
I was going to say.
Oh no, that would be done. Put it in the book. Put it in the book. We should doing.
All right, if you want to do Dameon Pierce, I'd be fine with that too, though. If you wanted to throw that.
All right, I do. That does.
You brought it up earlier. You brought it up earlier on the show. I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah, no, I do think Pierce makes sense in this kind of idea.
I don't know if he makes as a round 20 pick. Who amongst us?
Yeah, I don't know if he makes sense. We're going to end up with 8 running backs. It's not something that I traditionally do.
Well, you want to do receiver then? Because then you're right. If we do have seven backs, then.
But you're giving me the out to draft Dameon Pierce.
I want you to just make this pick. Is what I'm saying.
I'm taking David Pierce because I can't risk another last round wide receiver breaking my heart with Tyquan Thornton. The way that Keandre Lambert-Smith has.
But look at the closing line value that we got on Keandre Lambert-Smith from 2 weeks ago when you thrust him upon me. Look at this. Look at you were the sharp. You're the sharp here.
Yeah, what's really fun is that happens to me on all my late round picks. This happens to me, and it never actually results in money. So it's really useful. It's really useful to use those waiver wire skills to identify these. Hey, this guy's kind of interesting. That doesn't actually matter.
I mean, this is the
for
team that
fantasy.
obviously bet on Matthew Stafford. But overall, structurally, and the way it came together from a player stance, it looks pretty good again.
Yeah, it's not a bad team. I think, yeah, you're right. Like we're betting on Stafford here. Not as much Stafford we need fantasy points from him because we have Jalen Hurts, but we are betting on him keeping Puka and Devontae Adams going. But I do like the idea of investing in a passing game that we expect to be pretty top heavy and making sure we have those two pieces. I think that makes sense. The running backs, we got to start here with RJ Harvey and James Conner. We talked about how that makes sense from kind of what we're looking to do here. I don't know about Cooper Kupp. You're going to have to sell me. You're going to have to continue selling me on Cooper Kupp.
I just wanted to mix him in is what it was. Like, Scott made a really strong case of saying just like, hey, what if, because then I checked the projections and I'm like, man, Kupp does look good in projections. I'm like, what? Like, all right, let me just at least get him on some teams.
Yeah, no, it certainly makes sense. But then we also got the high upside handcuffs with Algier and Giddens. I think two of my the handcuffs that I'm targeting, because when you think about like the situation that they could find themselves in, Algier 100%. Like if I'm looking for just pure handcuff guy
who we've already seen good on his own.
He's good. Like that's the thing is we know he's good. And if something happens to Bijan, like he's somebody I'm targeting a lot especially as I build out these teams. And if it doesn't happen and Bijan stays healthy, which is what I hope happens, by the way, for the season, then it is what it is. But yeah, we're coming out of this with another team that I feel pretty good about. And this looks like I talked about at the beginning. This looks more like the teams that I've been drafting this year than maybe some of the other teams that we've been doing. But I've also been happy with the teams we've been drafting. So I have changed my style a little bit, and I will, especially in kind of that
drafting
8,
by
9,
yourself,
10
it's
range.
easy to get into those pockets where you're consistently drafting with a similar structure or taking players at ADP at a certain spot just because you're more bullish on those guys. It is always good to do shows with someone else because you kind of mix it up a little bit.
No, absolutely. Like I'm not going to have a ton of Christian Kirk because I like Jaden Higgins, right? And so like there are things like that. I definitely won't. This will be the only team that I have Cooper Kupp on, I would suspect, unless something happens. And so yeah, it's very good to like get together with someone else and like pick their brain because you fall into those patterns. If you're somebody that's just drafting, like you lay down in bed and you draft a couple teams before you go to sleep, you're falling into these patterns. And so
you do it subconsciously too. Like you're not even, it's just you're like, oh, yep, here I am. 405 taking him again.
And it's one of those things about snake drafts and the way that the user interface is set up is that you have the ADP right in front of you. And I continue to try to tell myself, don't worry about ADP, especially after you get into the double-digit rounds. Don't care about ADP. Don't care about ADP. And you have to tell yourself that. But it is trying to funnel you in a specific way, especially if you're like, all right, I'm picking in spot 11. I know who's going to be available at these spots. I know what this is going to look like. And so breaking out of that mold is something that it's important to do. And it's important to be kind of like intentional about breaking out of that mold to make sure you're not just drafting the same team over and over and over again. So that's good. All right, it's time for us to get to our best baller segments. We do this every time we talk about fantasy football. It's sponsored by our friends over at DraftKings, where you can take a shot at their $15 million best ball contest this summer. Check the link in the description to learn more. Every week, every time we do this, we'll ask normally we ask our guests. We're going to have an amazing guest coming up next week. That's a teaser. You should make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast. Great, amazing guest coming up next week, who their favorite fantasy football pick is this draft season. But it's just Rich and I. And we've done this already. I believe we did. We've got a George Pickens in there, I believe, right? We've done a couple names here. But we still have some guys here. Anybody that stands out on our team that would stand out as a best baller for you for this year?
What are you going to do? You want to do Jaden Blue?
Jaden Blue is interesting. Like I am certainly in on that. I was a Miles Sanders drafter early when he was just going in the last round and was free, but that was always just a bet against Javonte Williams. What we've heard with Jaden Blue, obviously we had the We had the early he's not a hard worker from someone that wasn't even on the team thing, which strange how those things leak out. Why would you even say that about him? Like, it's just a very confusing thing. But everything
someone has a vendetta against Jaden Blue.
Exactly. Who has a vendetta against Jaden Blue? It's just a very confusing. I don't understand how that even happened or why that happened. But everything we've been hearing out of camp has been good. We've been hearing him getting first team reps. And the thing about Jaden Blue is I don't know if he is ever going to be in his career based on his college profile, like that early down, we're going to get a ton of touches to this guy. But I think both you and I expect this Cowboys team almost out of necessity, but also because this is just, I think, how they want to do it, to be very pass heavy, to lean into the pass. It's one of the reasons we're in on George Pickens. It's why we like CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, everybody likes CeeDee Lamb, but I even think like we would take him maybe a little higher than he traditionally goes. It's why we have drafted Dak Prescott, or we tried to draft Dak Prescott in the first one of these that we did. We believe that this is going to be a pass heavy team. If it is a pass heavy team and Blue earns the trust necessary to get those passing down snaps, that is a role that he can absolutely smash in, especially in a full PPR site like DraftKings. Everything is set up for this offense. If it ends up being what we expect, and it's not a Schottenheimer offense from his days with Mangini and Rex Ryan, it's a Schottenheimer offense like we've seen the last couple of years in Dallas. If that's what we get, and we get a healthy Dak Prescott, all of this sets up very well for Jaden Blue and who he is as a player. And I especially, even as his ADP goes up, but in the 11th round here where we got him, I'm all in on Jaden Blue. I'm willing to take that risk that he gets this opportunity. And you made a really good point earlier on in this about not worrying about being right week one, worrying about being right late in the season. And we see this over and over and over again with rookies, where maybe we don't get that run out that we want week one or week two or week three, but we drafted this guy in the 11th round. We don't need that. We can get that from James Conner. We can hopefully get it from Henry, but we can get it from Etienne, right? We don't need that. We want Jaden Blue to be the guy in week 8, 9, 10, 11, and so forth. And I think that everything sets up here in the runway for him to be that guy in Dallas by the time we get there.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot to add there. I mean, I've kind of said before, he has like very poor man's like Devin Achane's qualities as like a prospect in terms of like landing in a nebulous backfield. For his profile, he actually was really good after contact as a rusher. And then all the receiving stuff. And he's a guy that doesn't get like check downs. Like, he's an asset in the passing game. We've already heard Clayton Adams compare him to Darren Sproles, which is probably lofty. But when you look at him, I mean, he was targeted on 25% of his routes last year. That was second in this draft class. He was third in yards per out run. He was in the slot for 16% of his snaps at Texas. If you remember going back to the championship game, he had that nice wheel route touchdown. So like, if this team is built to throw, I think that I think when he gets on the field, he's gonna be tough to kind of put back in the bottle a little bit with the way this offense we believe is going to have to operate. So I haven't really wavered on him in terms of just like, he's the guy I want to bet on big picture. And yeah, we're in that season where like everything's so reactionary to either what happens in the preseason game or a report that we see. But remember, like, you don't like being in a race to be right in week one, like, isn't always like the answer, right? Like, is Trey Tucker the wide receiver 2 for the Raiders? Does it matter? Like, those types of things, like, it's like, so don't go crazy, right? Like with some of this news.
I do think the does it matter question is one that we don't ask enough. And it's one that you always ask me when I get excited about Noah Brown for whatever reason. Who cares, right? Like, even if you're right, does it matter? Like, Josh Reynolds is the wide receiver 2 in New York.
Correct. Yeah, Josh Reynolds.
Who cares? Right? Like, that's where we are, especially with some of the news we've heard about Justin Fields passing in camp. But again, that's camp news. It might be fine. I believe in you, Justin Fields. Please just hold on to the job. That's all I'm asking for, is just please hold on to the job. But yeah,
we almost wanted to do worse in practice, because then he'll just run.
Just run. We have the Jets.
I should just run. Instead of throwing it.
The Jets are going to be 40% drop back, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great for everybody. All right, that's it for us. We really appreciate you listening to us. Go and check out the link in the description. Go over to DraftKings. It's a great place to draft best ball. I've been drafting there a lot. Make sure you go and check that out. Also, check out all of Rich's work as part of the draft kit. As I said, he's got a series this week looking at the stats that matter for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. By the time you listen to this, I believe the wide receivers will probably be up as well. Running backs already up, quarterbacks already up. Just really insightful actionable information, which is what Rich specializes in. All part of our draft kit. Again, you can get that for $5 off using promo code Sharp5, or you get the draft kit for free if you get our fantasy football bundle. That'll get you our in-season content as well, which Rich has his weekly worksheet preview of every single game of the NFL season, in-depth player-by-player preview. It's the best way to get ready for fantasy football every single week. Go and check all that out. Sharp.football. That'll get you where you need to go. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate it. As I said, Rich will be back with a very, very good guest next week. Make sure you're looking for that, and we'll talk to you then.